Have you ever seen one of those headlines, the ones that claim the average American is worth over $500,000? And you just kind of think to yourself, wait, really? That can't be right. Well, if you have, your gut is onto something. Today, we're going to dig into why that one simple number hides a much more complicated and, honestly, a way more fascinating story. And here it is, $620,654. According to the 2024 UBS Global Wealth Report, that's the average net worth in America. I mean, it sounds pretty impressive, right? It paints a picture of a country where the typical person is sitting on over $500,000. But is that what's really going on? Just take a second and think about it. When you look at your own life, your friends, your family, does that number feel real? If it seems kind of disconnected from reality, you're not crazy. And there is a very, very specific reason for that feeling. Okay, let's get into it. See, the problem isn't that the data's wrong. It's the math. I like to call it the Elon Musk effect, and it perfectly explains why the word average can be one of the most misleading words out there, especially when we're talking about money. So how do they get that average number anyway? Well, it's actually simple math. You just add up all the wealth in the entire country, and then you divide it by the number of people. But here's the catch, the big weakness. That final number gets totally warped by outliers, a handful of people with an absolutely extreme amount of wealth. To really get this, let's just do a quick thought experiment. Picture this. You're standing on an elevator, all by yourself. And then the doors open and Elon Musk walks in. Now it's just the two of you, riding the elevator. And boom, just like that, the average net worth of the people on that elevator skyrockets to around $224 billion. Now, did you get any richer? Did a single dollar appear in your pocket? Nope, not at all. But that one person, that one massive outlier, completely changed the entire picture. And that's exactly what's happening to the numbers for the whole country. So if the average is so easily broken, how in the world do we get a more honest picture of things? What's a better way to measure wealth? Thankfully, there's a much better tool for the job. It's all about finding the true middle. And that tool is called the median. Now, unlike the average, the median doesn't care about those crazy outliers. Just imagine you line up every single American by their net worth, from the lowest to the highest. The median is simply the person standing smack dab in the middle. 50% of people have more than them, and 50% of people have less. It gives us a way, way truer idea of the typical person. All right, so what is the median net worth in America according to that same exact report? Well, it's $124,041. Yeah, a completely different world from that $620,000 average, right? And for most of us, that's a number that probably feels a whole lot closer to home. And when you see them side by side like this, it just hits you. Look at that difference. The average wealth is an incredible 5 times higher than the median. Seeing it visually like this really puts the scale of that distortion into perspective. It's huge. You see, this gap isn't just some quirky thing for stats nerds. No, it's a tale of two numbers that reveals a really fundamental truth about the American economy, and that's wealth inequality. And check out how this plays out on the world stage. It's fascinating. If you measure countries by average wealth, the US looks like the second wealthiest nation on the entire planet. Pretty good. But the moment you switch to median wealth, the measure for a typical person, the US plummets all the way down to 15th place, falling behind countries like Australia, Canada, and even Italy. So where is all that wealth that's pulling the average up so high? Well, data from the Federal Reserve shows us exactly where. The top 10% of households in America hold over 2/3, that's a staggering 67% of the country's total wealth, which means that the other 90% of the population is left sharing the remaining third. Now let's flip it around and look at it from the bottom up. And honestly, this is even more stark. The entire bottom 50% of American households, that's half the country, altogether they hold just 2.5% of the total wealth. That right there, that's where that enormous 5-fold gap between the average and the median comes from. So the crucial point is this. After all these numbers and charts, what does it all mean for you? Why does understanding the difference between average and median actually matter in the real world? One of the sources we looked at for this explainer put it perfectly. It said that having all this immense wealth at the very top gives the country bragging rights. But that success hasn't necessarily trickled down to the typical American family. So, the next time you hear a headline talking about the average American, I want you to remember that elevator. Because that gap, the one between the average and the median, it isn't just a number, it's a defining feature of our economy. And it leaves us all with a pretty big question to think about. What does it take to cross it?